Welcome back to the Soul and Success Academy on the Spiritual UPlevel Podcast. I'm your host, Jeri Cristine, and today we are going to be talking about SMART goals. So this is episode 4 of the Soul and Success Academy, and we have talked about connecting with your true self. In our first meditation, we met our true self, our future self, which is actually a current version of you. You just have to allow it to become. In our second episode, we created our workshop so that we can have a place that we can go and dream and find solutions to problems. In our last episode, we went over the tool, the sweet spot quadrant, which allowed you to determine all the things in your life, what you love to do and you're good at, what you don't like to do and you're not good at, and you should get off your plate, and all the things in between. So if you haven't done those steps yet, I highly encourage you to do those first, because if you're very clear on who you are, where you're headed, and what you do enjoy and what you don't enjoy doing, setting SMART goals is going to be much, much easier. I also encourage you, if you can today, check out the YouTube channel, because I am going to be sharing another couple of tools to help you with setting your SMART goals. So let's dive right into it. First of all, how do we determine what we should set for SMART goals? Let's begin by looking at my version of the wheel of life. This is not it. Here we go. Pardon me while I pull this up and make it nice and big for everybody to see. So the wheel of life is just all the different areas of your life. These range from health, wellness, to personal development, finances, your contribution to the world. Let's go through each of them, and then I'll explain where I encourage you to start on determining what area you should specifically be looking at. So in the top section, in the green, I have the area of health. Pretty self-explanatory. The blue going over to the right is the work/contribution. This is what you do to create money. Or if you don't need to create money, this is how you contribute back to the world. For most people, you are spending most of your day in this area. So most of us are spending a good chunk of our time in this area, this work contribution area. The next area is relationships. This is your close relationships, family, friends, people that you want to be spending more of your time with. And then we have love, romance, sex, and self-love. So this is your intimate relationship. I say intimate because if you are in a relationship, it may be that person. If you're not in a relationship, this is self-love. Even if you're in a relationship, this can be self-love, but you get the picture. It's your most intimate relationship or relationships. Next, we have creativity, self-expression, and fun. This is exactly what it says. The area that you use as an outlet to just let go and be yourself. Next, we have learning and growth. This is personal development. This is your goals, such as I want to read a certain number of books. I want to attend classes. I want to work with a coach, things like that. Next, we have finances, wealth, lifestyle, and entertainment. I have this separated out from work and contribution because this is the bigger picture. Why do you work? Why do you create money? Why do you spend at least 40 hours of your life doing something that you may or may not love in order to create money, freedom, lifestyle, a savings so that you can retire? So this is kind of the next level beyond just the basic work/contribution. And then we have spirit/connection. So this is connection to a higher power. This is where you'll find religion. This is maybe deepening the understanding that we are all connected. So I want you to choose one area of the wheel of life. I do not encourage people to set goals in all areas because if you haven't set goals before or you're just starting down this path, that is a lot of change and it is a lot of commitment and it can be very overwhelming. And when we're setting goals, we want to begin to prove to ourselves that we can trust ourselves, that we believe ourselves, and that we can do hard things. And if you try to do too much at once, it's much more likely that you will fail, you'll give up, and then all you're doing is proving to yourself that you can't trust yourself, you can't do hard things, you aren't successful. So start in one area. And how do we know where to start? Well, think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The very base of the pyramid, the foundation of the pyramid is safety, food, shelter. So if you haven't solved for money, start there because otherwise that's all you're going to be thinking of. And say, for example, if you want to start in self-development, yet you haven't solved for money, you won't have the money to do all the things that you want to do to grow. And so again, you'll be going back to money. Relationships is another okay place to start because we have them, whether we have money or not. And if you're in a relationship that is not thriving, that might be what's holding you back from solving for money. For example, if you're, always thinking about your relationship at work because it's not stable or you're not secure in it, if you don't show up for work sometimes because of a relationship issue, you would want to start there. And then the third place that you could start is health. If your health isn't good, if you don't have health, none of the rest of it matters. And again, you may not be able to solve for money or relationships if your health isn't good. So those top right three sections are the areas that you would want to start. The other areas can come once those three areas are at least in a good place. They don't have to be perfect, but they need to be in a solid, good place. So think about that for a minute. Where do you need to start? And I want to also encourage you to start in an area that is not comfortable. We always want to set goals in the areas that we're comfortable. For example, for me, I was always very driven, always working, always focused on making money. And it was super easy for me to say, well, I want my goal to be, I want to double my income this year. Okay, but I'm already headed towards that. That is my safe space. That is where I escape to when I don't want to look inward. So I encourage you to really take a look at that. Everyone always wants to focus on money in our society. If it's not there, focus on it. If you are a workaholic, please choose another area. Just this is about soul and success. And so I'm giving you tangible tools to create more success in your life, but not at the risk of your soul. If your soul isn't involved, if these other areas of life aren't flourishing, eventually you're going to have burnout no matter what you're doing for work, and then you're going to have to figure it out all over again. So I just really challenge you to focus on an area that isn't comfortable, that could be better, it isn't doing well, and begin there. And then let me share with you another graphic. Whoops. And it's not the one I want. Here we go. So this is SMART goals. What does SMART stand for? It's just simply an acronym. S stands for specific, M for measurable, A, attainable, R for risky, and T for timeframe. Again, If you look up what SMART goals mean, they're not all going to be the same. They're basically the same, but they're not all exactly the same. So let's go through how I define SMART goals. First of all, specific. We want details, not generalizations. Meaning, say your goal is to have a better relationship with your mother. That is not a goal. My question would be, how? How do you know that it's better? How are you going to have a better relationship? And you might tell me something like, I'm going to talk to her more. Great. How often? Which leads into our next one, which is measurable. So the specific would be, I am going to talk to my mother on the phone more often. The measurable would be, how often? How many times are you going to do this? So an answer could be once a week. That is great. I'm going to talk to my mother once a week on the phone. Once a week is great. A certain number per week is great. Don't set yourself up for failure. Again, we want to focus on setting ourselves up for success. So what if you're sick one week and you can't talk on the phone? You're not able to talk on the phone that week. A better goal might be, I'm going to talk to my mother 50 times a year, 50 times within the next year. That way, you have a little bit of wiggle room if something happens and you're not able to do it. Again, setting ourselves up for success. The next letter is for attainable. And so say you have a money goal and you're at a place in your life where you've never made $100,000 in a year before, and you are tempted to make a goal of making $1 million by the end of this year. If you haven't made 100,000 before, is 1 million attainable? Again, we want to set ourselves up for success. The more you prove to yourself that you can do it, that you're trustworthy, that you can do hard things, the more successful you'll be. You'll start setting bigger and bigger goals and you will hit them because you know you can. So I would encourage you, again, that maybe $1 million this year is not attainable. Maybe $1 million within 3 years is attainable. So let's go there. The next one, R, is for risky. I believe in risky goals. What is the point of living life if we don't take a few risks? The most successful people, the people that we all look towards and admire and want to be like, have taken big risks in their lives. They don't become somebody that is a household name by not taking risks. And it's the same in your life. Do you want to play small or do you want to play big? If you want to play small, great. Do it. You know, risky is different to everybody. Just make it a little risky. If you already talk to your mom on the phone once every 2 weeks, is risky once a week? I don't know, maybe not. Maybe risky is going to visit your mom once a month or once a quarter or something like that. You might want to challenge me that maybe risky is that making $1 million when you've never made 100,000. And yeah, that is super risky. However, again, attainable and risky can go together. Risky doesn't mean that you stretch yourself so far that in the back of your mind, you know you're not going to do it, or it would not surprise you if you didn't do it. We want this, again, to be something that we can achieve, something that is exciting, but you know you can achieve it. In PSI seminars, which is one of my SHIP trainings, they offer some of the best self-development classes in the world. They call it a butt pucker goal. And when you hit that goal, that makes that happen. You will know what I'm talking about and you'll remember that. So it should be very challenging. However, it should also be attainable. And then time, it has to have a time frame. You know, I want to make $1 million. Great. In your lifetime, you will probably make $1 million. Even if you make $50,000 a year and you work for 20 years, you're going to have made $1 million. So time frame. And I encourage you to not make it be more than 1 year. You can have goals and aspirations that are longer than 1 year. However, your SMART goals should be less, 1 year or less. Because again, we want to set ourselves up for success. We want to prove that we can do hard things, and then we set our next goals. These SMART goals are also not the steps that it takes to get to our goal, although they can be. Let me explain that a little bit. So if your goal is to make $1 million, that is your goal. Your goal is I will make $1 million within the next year. So I will make $1 million by, I don't even know what the date is, January 26th, 2026, for example. That doesn't mean that you have to say in your goal, I will make $1 million by selling 20 houses. It doesn't have to be that specific. Now, you can break it down that way. For example, I will make $1 million within this next year through a combination of public speaking, selling real estate, and coaching. That is fine. However, don't get hung up on the how to. We will go through this in another episode, but the method, the how to, does not matter as much as the goal. The goal, if it is big enough and it is exciting enough and it lights you up enough, if it's a goal that pulls you towards it, you will figure out the rest. Nothing can stand in your way of a goal that you know you have to achieve because your soul requires you to achieve it. And so these are the kind of goals that we are going towards. If you have questions on setting your SMART goals, please reach out to me. I love this exercise and I love challenging people and I love making sure that your goals are SMART. So please reach out to me and happy goal setting.